हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the dhyana shloka. मौन व्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्म तत्त्वं युवानं वर्षेष्ठान्तेव सदृशगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीढे वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्न संशयाः निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। We'll chant from Shloka number 3. यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकमसत्कल्पार्थकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रितान् यः साक्षात्करणात् भवेन्न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। नानाच्छिद्रघटोदरस्थितमहादीपप्रभावस्वरम् ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभाते तत्समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि चलां बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः स्त्रीबालान्धजडोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्ता वृषं वादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमहाव्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेन्दुसदृशो मायासमाच्छादनात् सन्मात्रकरणोपसंहरणतो यो भूत्सुषुप्तः पुमान् प्रागस्वाप्समिति प्रबोधसमये यः प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We are seeing this Shri Dakshinamurty Stotram, where Bhagwan Shri Adi Shankaracharya ji has given the very gist of Vedanta. So the entire world which we see in front of us is like a reflection in a mirror. That mirror is, our own self is like the mirror in which this whole world appears like a reflection. So one has to recognize that self, and that happens by the blessings of the teacher. The teacher through Tattvamasi Mahavakya teaches us and reveals that supreme nature of the self. We have this ignorance of ourself from the beginningless time. Means there is no cause for ignorance. It is the absence of knowledge. But that absence of knowledge creates a lot of confusion, a lot of what is called adhyas, which causes lot of sufferings. So we misunderstand ourselves to be the body or the mind or the senses or the pranas, and we suffer. So we have to recognize our own self. So teacher guides us and indicates our own self as Brahma by saying that Tat Tvamasi. So that which is the very cause of this whole world, that which is the very support of this whole world, that in which the whole world exists, that is Brahma, and that is your own self. So we have to recognize ourself as Brahma. But even before recognizing ourself as Brahma, we have to recognize ourself properly, free from all defects, free from all conditionings. And that we can do by taking the help of our experiences, and especially the deep sleep experience. The deep sleep experience, when we analyze with the help of the teacher and the scriptures, we will be able to understand the real nature of our own self. So we will do some thinking on that today. So here in the sixth shloka, Bhagwan, with the help of a beautiful metaphor, he indicates that Sushupti Avastha. So we have the Jagrat Avastha, waking state. We have the Swapna Avastha. Then we also experience what is called Sushupti Avastha. Means when we wake up, we talk about that Avastha. We say that I slept very happily, but I did not know anything. So there is no knowledge of that Avastha. When I was asleep, I had no knowledge of myself, nor of the world, nor of anything. But when I wake up, I talk about it. So it is a very mysterious experience which we cannot understand with the help of our senses and mind and intellect, because they were not there. They were not available there. And no amount of experiments, scientific experiments also will not be able to reveal the secret of the deep sleep. What they may reveal is the effect of deep sleep on our body or mind or breathing, but not the deep sleep itself. So just as when the eclipse takes place, when the lunar eclipse takes place, the moon just disappears and then again reappears, but disappears from our sight. The moon doesn't disappear totally. The moon is there in the sky. But from here, from Earth, when we look at the moon, slowly the shadow appears on the moon, the shadow of the Earth, and then the moon completely disappears. The total lunar eclipse, the moon disappears, and then the moon starts appearing again. In the same way, when we go to sleep, as though our very existence, our very awareness, everything seems to just disappear. There is no knowledge of myself which I have in my waking, and there is no knowledge of the world also. Even the dream world is not available. So in deep sleep, it is like a disappearing act, but the disappearing is just from our standpoint, in the sense from the standpoint of waking. When we analyze the deep sleep, we say that nothing was there, but really that self alone was there as Brahma. Bhagavan says, San Matra Abhut Sushupta Puman. In Sushupta Avastha, this Puman, this person, had become San Matra, pure Sat, pure existence, which is the very nature of that Supreme Brahma. So I remain in deep sleep as Brahma, as my own Supreme Self. And this is very clearly indicated in the Upanishads. In the Chandogya Upanishad, as well as in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the deep sleep is revealed very beautifully. So, San Matra Karanopasambharanato yo bhut sushupta puman. So, I remain as myself as Brahma. So, this happens because of my own power called Maya. For temporarily, Maya as though covers me. The Sattva gun, Tamogun, Rajogun is there in Maya. So through that Tamogun, everything as though is covered. Myself as though appears covered. Just like the moon appears covered, or the sun appears covered during the solar eclipse. A very mysterious thing happens. The sun is shining bright and beautiful in the sky. Then slowly a shadow appears on the sun. And the disk of that sun appears to hide behind that shadow. And a time comes when the sun is completely blocked. So who blocks the sun? The shadow blocks the sun. The moon blocks the sun. The shadow of the moon falling on the sun and the moon coming in between our vision blocks that sun. But blocks the sun means from our standpoint. Otherwise, the sun is never blocked. See, even when the solar eclipse happens, sometimes a partial solar eclipse happens, which is seen in one area, but it is not seen in some other area. In some other place, the sun looks very bright and brilliant, but in some parts of the world, the eclipse is seen. So the moon, the earth are all expression of the sun only. The entire solar system, all the planets, all the satellites, all the asteroids, meteors, earth clouds, everything is are the expression of that sun. The power of that sun itself has created this whole solar system. So when the moon comes in between, it is by the blessings of that sun only that moon is formed, which comes as though blocks the sun from our vision. Similarly, the power of that supreme self called Maya as though blocks the vision of this Pratyek Atma from itself and from the world, which is experienced as deep sleep. I don't see myself, I don't know myself, and I don't know the world. So I as though get overpowered by Maya samachhadanat. See, just like Maya, the tamogun is like darkness. Tamogun is not ignorance. Tamogun is like darkness. See, for example, I see an object when it is bright in daytime. I see the mountain very clearly. But when it is night and it becomes so dark, when I look in the same direction where the mountain is, I don't see the mountain. I don't see the mountain not because I'm ignorant about the mountain, but because it is dark. So the ability to see gets hampered. Similarly, when I go to sleep, I don't know myself and I don't know this world, not because I have suddenly become ignorant, but because the ability of the mind, the intellect, the senses are restrained. They no longer function. So that is what is called that it is as though covered by Maya samachhadana. But when I wake up, I distinctly remember that I was asleep. Who remembers? This is another very mysterious thing. I, who am talking now, identified with the body, with the mind, with the intellect, that I, the personality which is there in the waking, that personality is no longer there even in the dream. Even in the dream, this personality changes. And in deep sleep, the mind, the intellect, and the body which defines my personality also is not there. But when I wake up, I say I was asleep. I experienced that sleep. I was happily sleeping. So the one who was there in the deep sleep, free from the body, the mind, the senses, the same person is present even now. So from the standpoint of that person, I am telling that I was asleep, I was there. But I also identify with my body, my mind. So the adhyas is also there when I am speaking about the deep sleep. So proper recognition of that deep sleeper doesn't happen. So for that we have to do some thinking, some investigation. So let us try to investigate briefly. Because not understanding myself properly, I assume myself to be something else, someone else. And what are my assumptions? See, I am what I was in deep sleep, separated from the body, the mind, because they are like cover, they are like dress. But when I wake up, I identify with the dress immediately. So I see the body acting, body walking, body sitting. So I identify with the activities of the body and activities of the senses and the activities of the antakarana. And I consider myself as the doer, karta, which is a misunderstanding. I am a doer is a misunderstanding about my own self. It's like a buffalo is walking and I say I am walking. That's total misunderstanding. Similarly, this body is acting and I say I am acting. The mind is functioning. I say, I am doing that. I am feeling, I am thinking, I am seeing. So I identify with the activities of the body, the karmendriyas, the jnanendriyas, the antakarana, and I say, I am the doer. I also identify with the activity of the senses as the one which knows. So through the senses, the knowledge happens of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Through the mind, the knowledge happens of emotions. Through the intellect, the knowledge happens of any objects. So I identify with this knowledge and say, I know. I don't even know the process, how the knowledge happens, but then I claim that knowledge and I say, I am the knower, I know. And then when some experiences of joy, pleasure happens, I immediately claim that also. I say, I am happy, I enjoyed. So I consider myself as the doer of actions, as the knowers of knowledge, as the knower of knowledge, and the enjoyer of all enjoyments. But is this really true? Are these assumptions true? The Shastras say these assumptions are false, wrong, and that you can experience yourself if you investigate. So let us investigate and find out whether I am really a doer. In order to understand that, I have to do what we call the Drigdrishya Vivek, separating the seer from the seen. Then I will understand the real nature of the self as not a doer. See, we identify with this body and say that I am the doer of all the actions. When the body is walking, I say I am walking. Body is seated, I say I am seated. One thing we have to understand that one who is seeing this, the seer or the knower, is always different from what is known. This is a rule, that the knower is different from that which is known. Suppose some object is there and I know it, I see it, then the eyes must be different from what is seen. If I hear something, the ears must be different from what I hear. If I taste something, then the tongue is different from what is tasted. So the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha which I experience are different from the senses. And even this body is different from the seer of this body. So I see something, the eyes are seeing that object. When I say I'm seeing something, the eyes are seeing. But are the eyes the ultimate seer? The eyes, the ears, the nose, they are also known. They are also known to me. They are also known. So how do I know my eyes? How do I know my ears? Something is wrong with the eyes, I know. Something is wrong with the ears, I know. Therefore, I go to the doctor, I say, please check, I don't know, I can't hear properly. Swamiji was giving that pravachan, but I did not hear anything. So I know the quality of my ears also. So I am the knower of the ears, means I am the knower of the senses, so I must be different. But all this is known with the help of our mind, our antakkarana. But that antakkarana is also known. My emotions are also known. I know that I am getting annoyed. I know that I am happy. I know that I am unhappy. So the emotions are known. My thinking is known. I say, oh, I'm thinking a lot about this. I could not stop thinking. The thought kept coming in my mind. So I am the knower of my thoughts. I am the knower of my memories. I say, I remember. But what I am saying is, I, who is knowing all this, can be the ahankar. Because there is this ahankar, which is also an expression of the antakkarana, which claims all the functioning of the body, the mind, the senses, and says, I am doing it, I am hearing, I am tasting, I am thinking. But when we go to sleep, when we are in deep sleep, even this ahankar is not functioning. Ahankar is also absent in deep sleep. And that experience also I have, in the sense when I wake up, I say that I was there, I was present, I existed in deep sleep. Though I did not know anything about it, but I don't say that I was absent. So my presence was there in deep sleep, even without the presence of the ahankar. Means I, the one who was in the deep sleep, is different from ahankar also. So all this ahankar, mana, buddhi, chitta, indriyas are all drishya, they are different from me. But who am I? That remains very mysterious. Who is this I when I was in deep sleep? It's very mysterious, but one should know that it is different from the body, the mind, the intellect, the senses, the ahankar. Now, another very interesting thing which will make it very clear that I am not the doer. See, this world which we see, where all the activities and all are happening, even in this body and all, there are those matter. There is this matter which goes to make our body and this world, and there is the force which activates this matter. Even in the field of science, they talk about it. There is matter, and there is that force which activates this matter. There is a beautiful law in science. It's called the law of inertia. That if there is some object which is kept at one place, it will remain at that place until it is acted upon some external force. External force means a force which is different from that matter. So, our body which is functioning during the waking state, what makes it function? There is some force which is different from the body and which is making this body function. That force is called prana. That prana shakti is the one which makes all actions happen. It is the force behind the actions. When I move my hand, the hand is made up of matter. All the 5 elements go to make this hand. But different from this matter is that force called prana, which is Bhagwan's para prakriti, which makes this hand move. It is functioning to the body, but which is different from the body, which makes the body move. But, like for example, my hand is there, and the prana shakti is also there, but the hand is not moving. It moves when I give the command to the pranas. The prana, that is the force, in how much force should be applied and in which direction the force should be applied, that also has to be determined, and that is determined by my own buddhi. In nature also, if some object is there, so if you apply a force from this side, this will move in this direction. If you apply force in this side, it will move in this direction. So the force which is applied, it has got its own direction and its magnitude. So magnitude and direction is there, which has to be supplied to that force so that it can act accordingly. So the activities which are happening in our body, the force behind this activity is the prana, and the direction in which the prana should move is supplied by our own mana and buddhi. So I'm just sitting at one place. So the body will not just get up and start moving. Though the power is there, the force is there. But then that desire comes in my mind that let us have a cup of coffee. So when that desire comes, then my buddhi takes a decision. First, the desire just comes from my samskar. Just I remember coffee out of the blue. Then the intellect takes the decision, okay, let me have a cup of coffee. So intellect tells the mind that start activating all the system to give me a cup of coffee. So mind directs the pranas, and the pranas then directs the indriyas and the body to do the activities. So I just get up from my place and I go to the kitchen. I get all the materials together. I prepare the coffee and I drink. So these activities which are happening in the body, in the senses, even in the mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, the force which is required is the prana shakti. But the prana shakti is given how much force should be applied and which direction it should be applied. That intelligence is supplied by our buddhi. Then action happens. It's the most mysterious thing. Now, the interesting thing is that when we are asleep, when we are in deep sleep state, we are, as as I said, we are not aware of the world outside. We are not aware of the body. We are not aware of ourselves also. Conscious awareness of all this is not there. But if you have seen a person sleeping, even in deep sleep, that person's breathing continues to happen. Even digestion and all takes place. Even circulation of blood and all happens. Even the growth of the body takes place. Even healing of the body takes place. So amazing. So all these activities which are happening in the body, because the senses and the mind, the intellect and the ego and all are not functioning. They are dormant. But the pranas are active. And the pranas keep the body also active. The basic function of the body, the breathing, eating, what you call the circulation, digestion. So these pranas, which activate the body, who is giving direction to the pranas? Because I am asleep. Who is giving direction to the pranas? Because without the direction, the pranas will not function. Pranas should also get direction from someone sentient. Otherwise, it will not function. But it is functioning. So, who is the one who is in control of the pranas? If you analyze this deeply, you will not find any answer, but the answer is given in our Shastra. The Shastras say that these pranas are controlled by Vaishvanara. It is Vaishvanara who is controlling the pranas not only in your body, but in everybody. He is the one who makes your breathing happens in the body. Digestion, circulation happens in the body. When I am asleep, then there is no interference from my own mind, from my own ahankar, from my own buddhi. So Vaishvanara works without any interference. But when I wake up, I immediately identify with the body and all, and I claim all activities. So the one who was asleep, I who was asleep, in that I, when I was in deep sleep, there is no connection with the body, there is no connection with the pranas, but I existed there. So that I who existed, just existed, free from all upadhis, that is my real nature. That is the real nature of Atma. And that Atma is not a doer. Is not a doer which is seen, which is understood very clearly. That Atma is not a doer. But when I wake up, I forget all this experience. I don't contemplate on them. I don't study the scriptures. And I just assume I am the doer. In Bhagavad Gita also, Bhagavan takes up this topic very elaborately in various chapters. He says, Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma karta ahamiti manyate. that all the activities which are happening is done by Prakriti. Prakriti Kriyamanan, and that Prakriti is in the hands of Ishvara, who only express as Hiranyagarbha, as Vaishvanara. So Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunaik Karmani Sarvashaha. But I, identifying with my own Ahankar, I consider myself as the doer. Ahankara vimodhatma karta ahamiti manyate. So if we contemplate on my own self as I was in deep sleep, I will know that I am not a doer. And the same self is present even now. So if it is not a doer, how it will become suddenly a doer? So that I am a doer is a wrong notion. And to become free of that wrong notion in the beginning, we have to dedicate all this attitude of that I am the doer to Ishvara. Consider ourselves as Sevak of Ishvara, dedicating all the actions to Ishvara. Then slowly we will be able to comprehend this truth that I am not the doer. See, when you take a straight stick, and dip it in water halfway. If you dip the half of that stick, if you dip in water, and if you look at that stick, it appears bent at the point where it is touching the water. It appears bent. But is the stick really bent? It is not bent. But I see it clearly that it looks bent. It looks bent because I see it in association with water. If I remove it out of that water and see it as it is, it will be seen straight. Again, if I dip it in water, it will appear bent. So I will know, when I understand that the stick is straight, I will know that even when it is appearing bent, it is straight. In the same way, if I want to know the nature of that Atman, I have to know it free from all its conditionings. The body, the mind, the intellect are the conditionings through which I become aware of that Atma. But when I analyze myself as I was in deep sleep, that is what I really am. So, by doing this investigation into my activities in the waking, in the dream, and also by analyzing my deep sleep, I will understand. I will be able to remove my misunderstanding about that Atma is a doer. So I am not a doer. Similarly, if I investigate into the notion which I have that I am the knower, I have to analyze my three states of experience, the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, then from this investigation, I will be able to understand that I am not a knower also. In the waking state, I consider myself as knower of the world outside. So in the Upanishad, this analysis is done in Mandukya Upanishad. So in the waking state, I consider myself as the knower of the outside world, as Bahish Pradnya. And in the dream state, I create a dream world and I become the knower of the dream world. And in deep sleep state, all this knowing, it gets suspended because the mind and intellect is not functioning. See, just like when we see a video on our mobile, we see a video, and while the video is going on, I just switch off the mobile. I just stop the video, in the sense I just switch off the mobile. Then what happens to the video? It just remains there and remains stuck there as though in suspended animation. And then when I just keep it, it just lies like that. And then when I switch it on, again that video comes up and it continues from where it left. Similarly, when I go to sleep, when I am awake, the mind is functioning. It's like the video show is going on. In the dream also the mind is functioning. But in deep sleep, it is stopped. The mind intellect just stops functioning. It is like it is kept on pause. Just like we keep our video also on pause sometimes. So it is just paused. Nothing. And it is all covered in darkness. Then again when you wake up, it starts from where it left. So I consider myself as the knower of the world outside. I consider myself as the knower of the world within, in dream. I consider myself everything paused in deep sleep. But all these are just activities of the mind and intellect I am talking about. I, the self, remains in deep sleep as pure existence and as pure knowledge. The activity of knowing happens in the buddhi, in the mind, not in me. So I, the Atma, is not a knower, but I am knowledge. I, the Atma, is not a doer, but I am existence. And I, the Atma, is not an enjoyer, but I am happiness. Therefore, the Shastra says that I, the Atma, is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means existence. Chit means knowledge. And Ananda means happiness. When I misunderstand my existence nature, I don't recognize myself as pure existence, I identify with the activities of the body and all and take that to be my nature. I say I am acting, I am changing, I am moving, but I am that pure existence in which there is no movement, in which there is no activity of any kind, in which there is no change happening of any kind. I am not the knower in the senses, in the mind, in the intellect, but I am that pure knowledge, which is like light, in the presence of which knowing, the activity of knowing happens in the mind, the intellect. Similarly, I am pure happiness, but identified with the body, the mind. I consider myself as the enjoyer. So I am neither the knower, nor doer, nor enjoyer, and this we will understand and get convinced if we contemplate on what I was when I was in deep sleep, because that is what I really am. So in deep sleep, I existed as pure existence only, san matra. In deep sleep, I existed as pure knowledge, jnana matra. Therefore, I know that I was asleep. And in deep sleep, I existed as pure happiness. Therefore, when I wake up, I say, oh, I slept happily. Not knowing this, I thought that I might have got some happiness there. I did not get happiness in sleep. I am of the nature of happiness. So my nature as Sat Chit Ananda, I will understand and be convinced when I contemplate upon my deep sleep state with the help of the Shastras. So through the Vivek, Drik Drishya Vivek means separating the Drishya from the Drashta. Also by analyzing the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti Avastha, and also by analyzing the 5 koshas properly, I will know that I am Satchidananda Atma. And that Satchidananda Atma is that Supreme Brahma. Okay, more about this we will see in our class on Monday. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Contemplate on today's pravachan, listen to it again, think about it, discuss among yourself. If you have any questions, you can ask. And we will meet again on Monday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. जय जय राम, बोले सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।